Hello children, welcome back. This is Vijaya signing in. So today we shall complete the poem which we started, Rain on the Roof, written by Coates Kinney. Today I just would like to give you some tips whenever you are asked to write the summary of the poem, like how to write it and all. Simple techniques, as soon as you hear telling me, then you will really understand that, oh, it is so easy to put forward on a paper. So what you need to do is try to read each one of the stanzas of the poem and try to take one keyword from each one of the stanzas, because already I have explained each and every word's meaning and I have given you as many synonyms as possible, right? So just try to pick out one keyword from each one of the lines of each one of the stanzas and make it ready, and then try to even memorize the same. By using that keyword, you can expand your own explanation in your own words. Whereas when you put all the things together, it's nothing but the summary which is very much ready. For example, I just show you how to go about Rain on the Roof, which we have already completed the whole of explanation, right? And we have discussed a few questions also. Now just look at the first stanza. When the humid shadows hover. So if at all you are unable to memorize the whole humid shadows hover, you can just pick one word, that's humid. Because humid is followed by shadow, automatically you will definitely remember so easily. So just pick out. Then overall the starry spheres, all the words, not typical words. They can definitely be called as bullet words or the keywords of each one of the lines. Then and the melancholy darkness, melancholy, as already you have underlined. Then gently weeps in the rainy tears. So let's just quickly see whatever you have underlined in this first four lines of this poem. First one is humid shadows. So what is humid shadow? As I have already explained you, humid shadow is nothing but the heavy clouds which contain the moisture in them. That is nothing but to give us a shower of rain, right children? So humid shadows. So you can start your summary that the poet, then you will need to introduce a poet. It's Coates Kinney, who is an American poet, who would like to convey a message that each one of the incidents or the moments of our life are associated with our childhood memories. So to convey the same, he has started with his memory, which is tagged with rainfall. So which he would like to start with, because the rainfall would of course and obviously start only with what, children? Would start with humid shadows. That is nothing but the heavy clouds. Then he started describing with heavy clouds around in the sky, where there are many stars at one particular place in the sky, that is starry spheres. And then the melancholy darkness, then the sky, the dark sky. Maybe it is feeling so sad. Melancholy is nothing but pensive mood, sadness, sorrowful feeling. But there is no cause behind that. What is the reason? What is making the sky to have that sadness? There is no reason mentioned. So that kind of particular sadness is called as melancholy. It's not an ordinary sadness. Then it is been described so that maybe the darkness of the sky is bursting into tears. What sort of tears is it bursting into? Rainy tears. Like if human beings, we burst into tears in the form of water from our eyes, right children? So here the dark sky is weeping with grief. So it is bursting into rainy tears. Gently weeps in rainy tears. So this is what is the complete explanation of 4 lines. The same way if you continue and you can make your own notes, children, and therein you will be ready with your summary of the poem. It's that easy. It's as simple as that, what I said, children. The only thing is you will need to really memorize the words and their synonyms. Because it's not that simply you memorize only these words, starry sphere, humid shadow, hover. They are not enough to just remember. You will need to explain them also. Is my word clear? Will you all try to do that at home today? Please write it down. Next session we shall discuss further what to do, what not to do also. Then when coming to the poem, When I was teaching you wind, children, you remember that we have discussed two poetic devices what are used in that particular poem of wind. So now coming to this poem, that is Rain on the Roof, there are few more new poetic devices are introduced in this poem. There are many poetic devices in fact in English language. First of all, we should try to know that why are the poetic devices used. Can any one of you just guess and tell me? Hopefully yes, because I taught you in class 8 also about poetic devices. Right, children? Fine. Poetic devices are nothing but the tools in the hands of the poets to make their poetry much more impressive, much more interesting, much more beautiful, much more wonderful. Because poetry is something, which has got a lot of concern and relation to do with emotions and feelings. Because usually a poet writes the poem not by using his mind, and he uses his heart. This is what is said to be so. So heart has something to do with the human emotions, any kind of an emotion. So to understand and to really know the feeling of the poet, so the poets would try to use as many poetic devices as possible to convey the right message in a very beautiful manner. So as already we have completed alliteration and personification in wind poem. You all remember alliteration is nothing but what, children? Repetition of the first consonant sound. That we have already done. Personification is nothing but giving the quality of a living being to a non-living being. That is personification. In the wind, you all remember we called wind as a wind god. He, we said. Right, children? Similarly, here what are all the things used? Let us see. And two more are also introduced. One is onomatopoeia. Another one is imagery. Like another new one is imagery. Imagery, the origin of the word is image. What is image, children? Image is imagination. That is a picture which you imagine. As I keep explaining something, like if at all you hear to a story, when somebody tells you the story, you try to visualize the story, and there are certain images in your mind. As soon as you come across any of the characters of the story, you try to give an image in your own mind. That automatically we all do it, children. So that kind of a effect when the poet wants to add through his poem, he would use the poetic device called imagery. Then how are all these things put into the poem? Let us see. Now first one, please look at the board, children. The first one is alliteration, which already we discussed, and please look at it is nothing but the repetition of the first consonant sound. First example is humid shower, hover. So in shadow, hover, S-H-A-D-O-W, shadow, hover, H-O-V-E-R. So S-H is used, and in hover also H is used, the letter, that is consonant, it's not an vowel. Starry spear, in starry S is used, and also spear starts with which letter? Yes, so sound of consonant again. Then press the pillow, press P, again pillow, P. Then lie, listening, L, again is underlined in lie and listening. So please look at this and try to make a note of it, children. Can you all see? Is it visible? It is all about alliteration, the repetition of consonant sounds. 4 examples I have given you. You can just underline the same words in your ebook, or in your running notes you can just take them down as well. Is everybody clear? Alliteration. This creates a lot of interest when you recite the poem. Alliteration is nothing but it's usually used for the rhyming, You can easily catch the lyrics, you can easily catch the wordings. So second one is imagery. As I have told you, it's a new one which is added only in this poem. Using a vivid and expressive language. Vivid is clear language, clear and expressive, more impressive language to evoke pictures or feelings. So as soon as the description is given about any of the things through the poem, when the poet is trying to convey by using this, you will automatically try to see the image of that only with the help of the word. So example, melancholy, darkness, rainy tears, starry spears. Please all of you look at this picture, children. Is the picture clear? It's all about imagery. Imagery is nothing but to add on a vivid expression to let you imagine the feeling or the picture in your mind. And the first example is melancholy darkness and rainy tears and starry spears, as already we have discussed so much about all these things. So as it is melancholy, he could have told us, he could have used the word pensive mood. He could have used it, but it wouldn't have been sounded that interesting as how it is sounding now. So it intensifies the situation there, which would automatically evoke the thinking. Evoke is to ignite. It would prompt you to do something. It would prompt you to think beyond your box. Then you would think, how would really, will the sky be crying? If it cries, how does it look? You start thinking. Then there is an image automatically in your mind. Similarly, rainy tears. Oh, when it cries, then how would it shed its tears? In the form of rainy tears. So next time, I'm damn sure that whenever you see the rainfall, immediately all these things, they would definitely strike to your mind, especially during nights. Then starry spears. As soon as you look at the star in the sky before it rains, you would definitely understand. So imagery is nothing but using the vivid and expressive language to evoke the sense of, to look at the picture, to imagine the picture, and also to catch the feeling what is the poet trying to convey. So is everybody clear? So how many we have done now? It is first one is alliteration, that is repetition of consonant sounds. Then second one is imagery. Next comes is onomatopoeia. Please write down the spelling also, children. O-N-O-M-A-T-O-P-O-E-I-A. Onomatopoeia. It's onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Its O is onomatopoeia. So use of sound words to create dramatic effect. What is onomatopoeia? Which particular device is called onomatopoeia? Onomatopoeia is nothing but where you see the usage of sound words which are being used in the poem to let you understand different sounds. What are the sounds used in this poem, Rain on the Roof, children? Can you please tell me? There are two beautiful sounds used. One is pitter patter, patter, right? Very good. Another one is tinkle of shingles, the gentle sound of lightning sound. We have already written down. So examples, tinkle and patter. And also we say that mooing, sizzle and hiss. Whenever the snake, the sound created by the snake is called hiss. Do you really think that it makes a sound as hiss only? No, the thing is like these sort of words, they're called onomatopoeia. They are used as sound words to create interest in the reader of the poem also. So onomatopoeia. Next one is personification, which we have already completed in the last poem, but once again we shall just revise. Personification is treating a non-living being as a living being, giving it the quality of a living being. Like wind god, and similarly here darkness, as it is weeping, as it is sad, we say that. And sky is a non-living being. How can it have any emotions, children? But the poet, to let you understand the poem better, he is introducing all these things. So please take down onomatopoeia and also personification quickly, children, in your notebook. Is it visible to you? Can you see this, children? It's onomatopoeia. It's onomatopoeia. Sound words. Next is personification. Here in this poem, personification is used for the darkness of the sky, which weeps, which is sorrowful, which is in grief, melancholy darkness. Got it, children? Yes. I believe all of you are very clear now. And the other day we have discussed a few questions, and now let us carry on with the remaining questions and then conclude. Do you like rain? What do you do when it rains steadily or heavily as described in the poem? So see, children, there are two different questions asked. First one is, do you like rain? Do you like rain? So opinionated question. Each one of our likes, they vary from person to person, as I have already told you before also. I may not like rain, but you may like rain. You may like to really get wet through completely, but I don't. But somebody else would like to. Then you will need to answer. do you like rain? So whenever such kind of questions are addressed, children, you will not only need to put your answer as yes or no, but you will need to strongly support your answer. How strongly you support your answer, that is something which matters here. Why do you like the rain? Why don't you like the rain? You will need to reason it out. What do you do when it rains steadily? So steadily in the sense it's without any change, steadily, constantly the same rainfall. If you observe and notice, what do you do? What do you like to do at home? And why? Always reasoning is very important, children. Always reasoning is very important. Reason is nothing but supporting your answer. And then heavily, if at all it rains heavily, then what do you do at home? First thing is you will notice what? Power cut. Then network issues. Yes. Then what do you do? How do you face that? What sort of troubleshoot you will advise yourself to do it? Then another question. Does everybody have a cozy bed to lie in when it rains? Look around you and describe how different kinds of people or animals spend time, seek shelter, etc. during rain. So here, value-based question, children. As we are comfortably living our life, having our own houses, having our own study room separately, bedroom separately, having our own cozy bed separately, cottage, chamber, the word you all remember, our bedroom separately. Then how about the people who are shelterless? How about the animals who are shelterless? Then what would be the feeling of those? Shelterless people, shelterless animals. Then how would they spend their time? Like particular this poem, whenever it rains, he feels so blissful. He feels so delighted. He feels so happy, recollecting all his past memories and childhood memories, bringing back. Then how about a person who has no home and who is completely getting wet through in the rain? Then what would be his position and what would be his situation? Would he also be trying to recollect all his memories? And how about the animals which are homeless? Stray dogs, you see them on the roads. And what would they feel? So empathize their situation. So even this is an opinionated and value-based question. Every poem has something to do with the value-based question. So you will need to put all these things together, all the feelings of all these people together, including you, then make your answer to be presented beautifully. Therein you will get 8 on 8. Is my word clear, children? So is everybody clear with the poem? That is Rain on the Roof. I think we are done with the poem and we can move ahead with 4th unit in the next session. The 4th unit is going to be all about the great Einstein. So you will love to go ahead. If time permits, I shall advise and suggest you, please go through the reading of the next lesson of 4th unit. So let's meet in the next session, children. This is Vijaya signing off. Take care and goodbye.